people who are sort of friends of the program, connect people that we might just know through LinkedIn or something like that, or friends of friends, with some people who are doing really cool things in the digital marketing industry. So we put together this advisory council webinar series, and we've had a series of really excellent presenters in the past talk about big agencies. So today what I'd like to do is introduce you to Nate Davis. Nate is the VP of Innovation Strategy at Tonic Design Company, full-service digital agency in Philadelphia. We are really excited. We've been working with Tonic on a couple of other things, and really sort of exploring all these possibilities of digital and around education. And so Nate is here today representing Tonic, full-service digital agency with competencies in product design, development, brand communications. And what he's going to do is really spend some time today sharing his thoughts on brand experiences, right? And one of the key goals of Tonic, and one of the things that they do really well, is partner with forward-thinking companies and schools to transform really exciting ideas into reality. So I'm going to stop there and turn things over completely to Nate, and he's going to talk us through this modern marketing topic for today. So Nate, the floor is yours.
Hi guys, I'm Nate. Thanks for the introduction. I'm going to talk about a couple of different things today. They're all going to sort of revolve around the idea of keeping customers at the center of the brand experience. So over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to talk a little bit about how digital and how the internet is shaping consumer mindset, and how that's in turn is affecting how they choose, how they shop, how they buy. And from there we'll talk a little bit about how we as marketers can work in and around some of these ideas, keep the customer, the consumer at the center of the brand experience, and wrap up by taking a look at a couple of examples of these ideas. So I want to start today by talking about this idea of the Internet of Me. You've probably heard of the Internet of Things, this connected network of devices, of smart appliances, wearables, Internet-enabled toasters and refrigerators. We live in this world now where there's, connectivity is sort of all around us, and it's everywhere in our lives, and we have unprecedented access to information. And at the same time, marketers and organizations have these sort of massive data operations rolling, and what that means is companies like Facebook, companies like Google, in a way, they sort of already know me better than I know myself. And as a result, they're able to deliver these highly personalized experiences. I mean, the internet that we each experience is sort of unique as our own fingerprints, and our expectations around those personalized experiences are ever heightened. We expect our needs to be anticipated and to be met right now. So when it comes to digital, we're always, as individuals, we're always sort of at the center of our own little universe, the Internet of Me. It's about the things around me. It's about what those things can do for me. And those ideas together have really, impacted the consumer mindset. They changed the way we shop. They've impacted the way we choose. They've impacted the way we purchase. And sort of the foundation of what we're going to be talking about today. Activity, makes us aware of an ever-expanding choice of products. Like, we're more aware than ever of options than ever. And we all have access to more information about those options. We've got a lot of channels we can go down to find out more information once we have awareness of a product or of a brand. And, as human beings, as people, we tend to have a really hard time making decisions when faced with lots of sort of relatively equivalent options. Choice is hard. And psychologists refer to this idea, this cognitive process, as over-choice or choice overload. When deciding, when faced with a lot of options, so brands in crowded categories, they're really fighting for attention and relevance in our lives. And there's a bit of a paradox going on in that we're sort of simultaneously more informed and also faced with an overwhelming number of choices. And all this collection of ideas, the paradox of choice. And to all marketers, it presents sort of both opportunities and challenges, and we're gonna take a look at both sides of this coin. We're more choices than ever, and we have more sources of information than ever before. So, how do we as marketers rise above this noise? All of this awareness, all of the choice generates a lot of noise, a lot of cognitive dissonance in our lives, and the challenge that advertisers face, that marketers face, that brands face is, kind of separating the signal from the noise. How do we rise above that noise to be relevant in a customer's and a consumer's life? And we're up by sort of looking at a model that over the years and to this day has been contributing to that noise. And from there, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the more successful brands that have been succeeding by turning this model on its head. This is what we're going to call a brand-centric or a push model. And as you can see here, in this model, the brand resides at the center of the experience, and it's broadcasting out to consumers. A real easy way to think about this is like broadcast television or radio or display media. It's an awareness play. This model aims to drive awareness and to impart a favorable impression of the brand or of the product. But in a way, the best case, this model sort of influences purchase decisions through driving awareness and recall. And the big idea here that the brand or the product is sort of the hero of the story. So, being one of those customers on the outside of this little universe, there's a lot of brands out there, and it can feel like brands are shouting at you in a way. So we're overwhelmed by our options, and more options means more difficulty. So, with this model, you can kind of see how these sorts of brand-centric tactics are contributing to the noise in the lives of the consumer. And we'll flip the coin over here and look at the alternative. This is a customer-centric or a pull model. And this model, customer, the individual, he resides at the center, is pulling the brand into the lives. So the most valuable, the most successful brands today have a few things in common. I'll touch upon these as we go through this presentation, but it's one that, the most successful brands have core values that they're shared with their customers. Their marketing efforts are consistently aligned with those values, and above all else, they're always working to keep the customer at the center of that brand experience. And these together work to separate the signal from the noise. A little bit about how this model drive the bottom line by influencing purchase decisions. And to do that, I'll just take a quick detour. We won't spend a ton of time on this, but I just want to talk the purchase journey for a moment. Journey has been illustrated. There's a lot of different ways to think about it, but it's a little bit like this. Phase, an evaluation phase. We have the zero moment of truth or the purchase, and then we have bonding and advocation. This is where we all start. And remember, we have a lot of options these days, and just all of that noise, we're aware of more options than ever. And so much choice overwhelming. And, we feel good about our choices. So at this phase, when we're considering a purchase, we actually sort of tend to limit our consideration set to reduce the cognitive workload. I mean, if you think about per car, you're not going to start by considering 100 cars. Your consideration set down, I'm looking for a family car, or I'm looking for a Japanese car, or I'm looking for a blue car. Like, you're going to find some way to kind of to bring that consideration set down to something that you can manage. You're going to narrow it down to a handful of choices so you can get your mind around it and move forward. From there to the evaluation phase, and this is where we really start to do some heavy lifting in terms of weighing out some specific options and specific considerations around our purchase. This is where marketers can really get a lot of traction with that pull model. At this point, as consumers, we're looking for feedback, we're looking for reviews, insights, anecdotes, any source of truth, any information that we can bring in to help us decide. And this is where we can reach out to brands and where we tend to reach out to brands and pull them into our lives, And studies that show, an individual reaching out to a brand, like the marketing that takes place, the whole marketing that takes place is actually much more likely to influence our choice purchase. So marketers have an opportunity here to win by keeping customers a centered experience, and some common tactics around that you sort of see every day, tend to involve providing comparative tools and resources and reviews and things to help people evaluate their options. Move into purchase. This is sort of that zero moment of truth, the exact moment you decide to make a purchase, and there's enough here to kind of drive higher sort of another discussion, so we're going to limit the scope of it a little bit, but just in keeping with the spirit of this customer-centric brand experience here, retailers tend to demonstrate an understanding of the customer and keep them at the center of the experience at that point of purchase, and they do that, they often do that kind of by reducing the friction associated with the purchase. They keep the customer at the center of the experience by, making it easy for them to pay. They accept many forms of payment, or they reduce the number of steps required. They provide clear and easy return policies. They succeed at this phase by anticipating that consumers' needs and exceeding their expectations. They succeed keeping that customer at the center of the purchase experience. At purchase, we move into this bonding and advocation phase, and purchase, assuming that we have a reasonable degree of satisfaction with the product that we just purchased, we tend to bond to the brand. And there's a few things sort of behind this. And it ties back to this little mantra of, we like to feel good about our choices and we hate making difficult decisions. So after we've made a purchase and we're satisfied, we tend to glom onto that brand. And otherwise, might maybe a little bit be to admit to ourselves that maybe we didn't make such a great choice, and we like to feel good about our choices. So these ideas come together, and something interesting tends to happen in this bonding and advocation sort of phase of the purchase journey, and that is that we fall into a post-purchase loop. A purchase loop of enjoy, advocate, and buy, and it looks something like this. What's at work here? Decide again. That was tough. I already made a smart, informed decision. I feel good about it. Deciding is hard. So without even thinking about it, I'm going to make things easier for myself. I'm going to adopt this, enjoy the product, advocate the product, buy the product again loop. It removes that consideration. It removes the evaluation. It removes the difficulty from the whole sort of purchase journey. So, once I buy something, I'm just going to keep sorting it, and it's this idea of brand loyalty, and that sounds like a great idea, and it is. You've got customers on autopilot. some of the things that contribute to brand loyalty, you know, we like to feel good about those decisions, and so much so that there's research that shows, you know, we often purchase brands just to validate our original purchase decision. That, you know, brands would be to invalidate previous choice. So these things work together to keep us coming back for more. And, you know, again, customers on autopilot, that's great. Except for the fact that, you know, competitors also have customers on autopilot. So loyalty is great, however, loyalty can be usurped. It can be usurped by new and different. The fact of the matter is that, you know, people are loyal to a product or loyal to a brand. Well, they're not. Brand loyalty is vulnerable. It's vulnerable to being unseated by emerging technology, stronger value propositions, better features, better pricing, products brands with more social currency. There's a lot of ways that brand loyalty can be unseated. And if you think about it, like a simple example might be, let's food guy, and you know, I'm a loyal McDonald's customer, and given the choice of a McDonald's or a Burger King that are right next door to each other, I'm going to opt for that McDonald's every time. Now let's say I'm traveling and I'm driving on the highway and I need to get fuel and I'm feeling a little hungry, and I'm going to pull over to a rest stop, and right before I pull off, there's one of those highway signs, those blue highway signs that indicates there's a 8 miles exit and rest stop to get fuel, and there's a Burger King right there. Where's brand loyalty from McDonald's now? There's a big chance I'm just going to grab some BK and move on. So, you know, if brand loyalty looks something like, you know, McDonald's over Burger King when they're next door to each other, or if it looks something like sort of automatically reaching for the same brand shaving cream when you're at the drugstore, then brand affinity is a little something like this. Affinity is greater yet, and love it. So brand goes beyond the consideration and evaluation phases of the purchase journey. It sort of goes beyond all of the different factors we've touched on so far. Brand affinity is really like a deep-rooted connection to brand. In a state where the brand and the individual actually share a sense of identity, they share a sense of purpose, they share common values. Brand affinity is a state where, you know, the customer and the brand represent each other, and it's incredibly difficult for competitors to dislodge those customers who hold true brand identity. I have enough contrast between the idea of a brand loyalist and someone who actually loves a brand, and the relative value that a brand lover offers a company or a brand, you know, in terms of a longer view, greatly exceeds that automatic purchase behavior. And the best brands succeed in sort of moving people from brand loyalty towards brand affinity. And we're going to know how they do that. Through a unified, customer-centric brand experience. They do that by keeping the consumer at the center of the brand experience across every touch point, every interaction. You know, they do that by working to create a singular view of their customer, a singular view that spans all the channels, all the touch points, and at the same time they're working to portray a singular view of themselves as a brand to that customer. And they're always keeping the customer in the center of that view. They consider the customer first, and they always lead with the customer's experience. Let's take a look at what that looks like in the real world. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Lego, the plastic building blocks. I imagine you've heard of them. If they were a part of your childhood or even if they're a part of your life today, I suspect that you probably love Lego. They're an incredibly strong brand. They're a brand that stands for freedom of play, creativity, active participation. They stand for quality. And they share those values with their customers. And they reinforce them by providing opportunities for those customers to own them at every brand touch point. Keep the customer at the center of the brand experience. So if you're in one of their retail stores, pretty cool place to visit. You know, they hammer home that value active participation. They have stations and pick-up brick walls where you can go and gather pieces and sit down and get your hands on Lego and start building. You know, they offer opportunities to sort of co-own that idea of creativity in their digital channels. They have places where you can go and create custom avatars, custom minifigures. You can create a little Lego figure that looks like yourself, and you can drop it into the Lego movie. You know, they're driving creativity, active participation, and they're doing it in a way that allows the customer to share that value, to own it themselves. They promote this idea of freedom of play. They look to their fans to submit ideas for production. Through the notion, they have an initiative called Lego Ideas. As a Lego fan, I can sit and come up with my own creation. We're looking now at the Ecto-1 vehicle from the original Ghostbusters movie. Now this is in production. This started, a fan built this on their dining room table and took a picture and sent it in. You know, here it is now available for purchase. So freedom of play and participation, you know, are shared values that they actually let the customer own those values. They make it about the customer. If you think about their theme parks, these theme parks kind of encompass all of these ideas. It's a theme park, but it's really not about mascots and thrill rides. You know, these theme parks are hands-on experiences that are, you know, ripe with opportunities to imagine, to build, and play. So, you know, Lego has all of this going on for their brand, and in doing so, they're sharing their values and keeping customers at the center of the experience. That bolsters their emotional appeal as a brand. It just elevates it. It creates personal relevance and meaningful relationships. It you know, creates signal always. And as you know, people who've had Lego in their lives, people who share in this brand experience, sit at the center of this brand experience. You know, they tend to remain loyal to the brand. They have true affinity, and that's why, you know, Blockos or whatever you want to call the generic Legos, like, you know, they can't unseat at any price point. And you know, it's becoming ubiquitous. Lego is what we even call those generic brands. We still call them Lego. Lego's been called the world's most powerful brand, and it's really that, you know, they're very expensive. I don't know if you've ever gotten into these. There's some reasons for that, but it's no accident that despite the high price point of this product, of this brand, you know, Lego remains more profitable than the toy makers, you know, Hasbro, Mattel find, and that success is due in a large part to fan affinity. Talk a little bit about keeping customers at the center of experience through affinity and through sharing values specifically. We'll talk a little bit about another approach to consumer-centric marketing, and that's this idea of meeting customers where they are. So Charmin. Charmin is the toilet paper brand. Charmin put an app called Sit or Squat. And it's a free app that helps people find public restrooms, you know, when they're traveling, or as Charmin says, you know, when they need to go on the go. This is really about anticipating and meeting customers' needs. It's about being there for them at the right time, being there for them in the right way. So in the app experience, you know, the content's crowdsourced. It geolocates you. It shows you where you are. It gives you a list of nearby public restrooms, and all of that content is crowdsourced by people just like you, so it includes photos, it includes reviews. If you need to find a public restroom in Manhattan where you'd be comfortable changing, where you'd even be comfortable sitting down, this app is going to find that for you, and it's going to show you where it is. And in this experience, Charmin's not trying to sell you anything. There's no shopper marketing going on. There's no coupons. It's a lightly branded experience, but the experience is really all about the customer. Just trying to, hook you up when you need it the most, keep you squarely in the center of this experience. And the idea is to instill affinity by helping people out at a critical moment. It's sort of a long view in terms of the path to purchase, but it costs Procter & Gamble. But they don't want to compromise. Procter & Gamble, one of their core values is this idea of trust, and they don't want to compromise trust by interrupting that experience at an urgent moment for the customer. So the affinity marketing play, the utility marketing play here is that toilet paper is a toilet paper aisle at the drugstore, at the supermarket. It's incredibly crowded, and there's 40 brands, and they're all soft, and they're all cloud-like, and they're all quilted, and they're all fluffy, and there's a lot of choice, and that choice overload idea comes into play. And here's the idea to sort of drive recall through affinity. Maybe I'm going to grab that Charmin. And it's a straight-up utility marketing play that works by keeping the customer at the center of the experience. It's about meeting them where they are. We've talked about how marketers, we as marketers, are able to move people from brand loyalty and toward affinity by keeping the focus on them, at every juncture, at every touch point, at every opportunity. And this type of customer-centric marketing model isn't so different than nurturing any relationships. That's what this affinity is, a relationship with the brand. And implementing this type of model, on the brand's part, it requires consistency. Requires making clear promises and keeping them every time. It means working to ensure that brand values that you share them with your customer and they shine through with every interaction. And so staying present in the relationship, practicing active listening, keeping a pulse on that customer's feelings and unmet needs. And what else? It's about keeping them at the center of the brand experience. That questions, you'll have to bear with me for a moment. We're going to try to do this over Slack, I believe.
Yes, jump in. If you have any questions, first of all, Nate, thank you so much. I actually do have a question, but before I ask my question, you guys that are on the call, everybody's kind of muted just because we're in a WebEx environment in an event. But if you want to type your question in the chat, Nate and I are able to sort of moderate those. So if you have any questions for Nate at all, let's go ahead and open them up. So Nate, my question for you, everybody else might be furiously typing, is where do you see your clients struggle the most with? I think, with keeping the focus on the customer, where do you see sort of the biggest disconnect or the biggest challenge for clients?
I think the biggest challenge is really get insight and understanding and adopting that perspective of that customer. It's like a cultural issue for these clients. It's having everyone throughout the organization leading with that customer-centric thinking. Particularly in organizations that have been around for a long time, older companies, these blue chip kind of established companies that sort of run on these tracks. They've been doing things the same way. It's a little bit of a mindset shift. You know, this only works, this isn't something you can kind of duck in and out of. It requires like this full-on commitment, and that means, you know, everyone up and down the line at that organization needs to adopt this mindset, whether they're in marketing, whether they're in customer service, whether they're a field technician, whether they're in sales. So one of the, I think the biggest challenge really for a lot of these organizations is seeing this cultural shift to this mindset. I think that's a big hurdle, and it's something I've seen. It's something I've seen, and I've seen the sort of institutional inertia around traditional marketing tactics, and you know, made it about the brand, making it about shopper marketing, and you know, get that is a challenge. That was a question.
Oh, good. Thanks. Yeah, that was a great answer. So we have another question that just came in. How can you create that same brand affinity in a B2B environment?
Okay. Good question. I think it all works the same way. You know, I don't know that it's today's discussion was really about the consumer, but you know, it was about the customer. It was about keeping the customer at the center of the brand experience. So whether that's a retail shopper or, you know, a purchasing agent from a large corporation, it's really about understanding their needs, understanding the things they need to get done as a customer, the obstacles that get in the way of them completing those tasks, you know, pains they experience in getting there. If I'm a purchasing agent for a retailer, you know, what makes my day difficult? What is hard about completing this transaction, about finding the right service provider? You know, I guess in short, it's really not very different. Does that make sense? You know, it's anticipating their needs, meeting their needs. You know, whether they're sort of retail consumer or they're you know, in a context, I don't see a lot of difference.
I think that's interesting. You know, it's sort of, and maybe it's because we live in a new digital world where the customer is the customer, regardless of what kind of customer they are. Cool. I have one other question for you. I typed it in the chat, but I'll just read it out too. What are some of your top ways of selling the customer-centric approach to leadership?
That's probably my greatest challenge. It's tricky, and it ties back to your question, Amy. It's an uphill battle a little bit, but one of the ways to do it is if you look at some profitable, most valuable companies in the world, if you look at Apple, if you look at Google, look at Lego, one of the things they all have in common is that they implemented these practices. You know, they're design-led organizations, and I don't mean design-led in terms of visual design, graphic design, you know, UX design. It's this bigger idea of, you know, designing the entire experience with the company around the consumer, around the customer. You know, and look at how those guys, you know, all the category leaders, they're all operating that way, and they're much more profitable than their counterparts who are still kind of playing catch up. So in terms of selling it, it is a challenge. I'll be honest with you. It's a challenge, but it's this idea. You know, I'd like credit for everything you've seen today, but these are all like modern marketing ideas, and you know, they're gaining traction, and so people are hearing about them. People are seeing success. There's some demonstrable success out there with it. It's really about kind of finding a champion organization and you know, sort of empowering them to sell it both up and down. And a lot of that depends on that individual champion and how they operate. But that's how I've succeeded so far. Helpful.
Sounds good. What do you guys think? Any more questions or any more thoughts for Nate while we have him? So Nate is, again, over at Tonic Design. I'm sure, Nate, just myself, we are both really happy that you guys could join us today as part of the webinar series. We're always excited to talk about digital marketing and kind of meet people in the field. Well, so if you have additional questions for us or anything we can help you with, please feel free to reach out. You can certainly connect with me via LinkedIn. I'm going to make the same offer for you. I hope that's okay.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for your time on this Friday. And please get with us if you would like some more information about Tonic or the Digital Innovation Program, or just to talk more about the topic. So thanks again, Nate, and everyone enjoy your weekend. Thanks. See you guys later.